We were really nervous about that.
But Ukraine, let's be honest about this, Ukraine posed no threat to Russia, and NATO is a defensive organization that also poses no threat to Russia. And just my point at the beginning was that you have retreated. The reason I said it's not going to plan is you've retreated from the capital. President Zelensky is still in power. You've lost thousands of troops. You've lost 6 generals, hundreds of tanks and other equipment. It's a humiliation, really, isn't it?
No. It's a wrong understanding of what is going on.
What is wrong about what I've just said?
Well, nearly everything.
Well, but you've lost thousands of troops. Now let's go through it. You've lost thousands of troops. How many troops have you lost?
We have significant losses of troops, and it's a huge tragedy for us. Now about 2 regions, Kiev and the Chernigov regions. So actually the troops were really withdrawn from that region as an act of a goodwill during the negotiations between 2 delegations, Russian and Ukrainian delegation. And it was an act of a goodwill just to lift tension from those regions, and in order to show that Russia is really ready to create comfortable conditions for continuation of negotiations.
But it's just not true, is it? Because you continued. If it was a measure of goodwill, why then did you continue to bombard Mariupol in the way that you have, to devastate that city? If you really wanted to facilitate peace talks, you would have had a ceasefire. But you carried on bombarding Mariupol and shelling Kharkiv and other places. So it's not really true, is it?
If you let me, I'll try to explain. Well, first of all, Mariupol is a part of Lugansk People's Republic. You know, we recognize them as an independent state. Actually, the premier goal of the operation was to assist those people of 2 people's republics that were suffering for 8 years from heavy shelling from Ukrainian military people. And by the way, during those 8 years, no one would mention those atrocities. No one in Europe, no one in Great Britain.
Even if it was true, that doesn't justify a full-scale invasion, does it? I mean, let's keep this in proportion. I mean, are you determined? You mentioned Mariupol is it's part of Ukraine. Are you determined to take Mariupol, whatever the human cost, whatever the cost in civilian life?
Mariupol is going to be liberated from nationalistic battalions, and we hope it will happen sooner than later.
So liberation, you describe it as liberation. So the pounding of Mariupol, the pounding of civilian buildings, the pounding of a hospital, that's liberation, is it?
Well, hospital was a fake. Hospital was a fake, and we have very serious reasons to believe that it was a fake, and we insist on that. This is number 1. Number 2.
Well, you did say that one of the famous photograph, or infamous photograph, of a woman on a stretcher, which you said she was an actor. She turned out, a doctor told us later, to have died. She told us she died. So let's not talk about that. I mean, how many civilians, let me ask you this, how many civilians do you think have died in Ukraine so far?
I don't want to operate any figures that are not confirmed or double confirmed. We have to be very careful. We have to be very careful in pronouncing any figures, because we're living in during a days of fakes and lies.
Well, let me tell you this.
That we meet every day.
Let me tell you this. So your UN ambassador has said there are no credible reports of civilian casualties. And as regards Bucha, according to your Ministry of Defense on April the 3rd, and I quote, "Not a single local resident has suffered from any violent action while Russia was in control." I mean, do you really expect the world to believe that?
We insist on that.